Hi guys, so this is Tasha. I am Tasha, founder of Talk to Tasha, which is a boutique that serves heart-centered career professionals that's impacted by stress, compassion, fatigue, and burnout. And so for this time of year, it's often a very common time of year that people start reflecting on their life. You reflect back on all the hard work you did in your career and your studies. And because I come from a social work background, bachelor's and master's in social work, have been working in human suffering for probably over 20 years now. One of the things that I want to encourage you guys, if you're watching this video and you are a social worker, you have been giving all of your life, you're very much stressed in a very high strung profession. As society is getting a little bit crazy, um, it's going to be more and more stress in our workplace because we see oftentimes the same situations across our desk that we see in mainstream media, for example. And media glamorize the stories that we go into the homes of, hospitals, prisons, you name it, as social workers. So, what I wanted to do is just kind of really give you guys some nuggets on how you can use your same skills that you've been using for years when it comes to heart-centered work. So you are called to be what I call a care bear. You care for folks. If we're not careful with some of our professions, we enable folks. And really, our work should be around empowerment, giving individuals tools that they can utilize to learn how to fish for themselves, learn how to mobilize and gather resources and execute ways to get out of their impoverished way of thinking, living, being, all those different things. So we serve the total person in our work. But when I start looking at it, I'm like, well, who serve those in the helping profession? Social workers, schools, in the schools, in the hospital, prisons, all the different high demanding roles that we play in terms of social work. I'll take that back. We don't play, but you get the point. We are out here serving, but many people that I'm running across in this profession don't have enough money to make their student loan bills, and that is ridiculous. So just imagine if you took financial burden off of your plate as of right now, how would that allow you to be showing up better for your clients, for your families, your loved ones? Some of us have aging parents that we can't even afford to pay for their prescriptions, or you're working a lot of overtime just to pay for your son's medication or college tuition. And so I had to take a look because I had gone through some sickness this year, and I had to really explore. Okay, Tasha, you have worked many years. You've gone to night class, Saturday class, commuted out of town for classes. You love serving people, but at the core, you don't have enough money to make the ends meet up together. And that's just living modest. God forbid if I wanted to go, on an elaborate vacation, which I had never done. And so I know I was thinking of that for myself. I go, how many other social workers out there who are at your transitional point, what I call lit, ladies in transition, right? So we're in our mid or early 40s. You worked many years in your profession. You're at a point where you're recognizing the premiums are going up in your benefit packages at your job, benefit packages in your jobs. You've worked in every aspect of your career, different units. You have more and more court reports due than you have hours in a day. But your pay is not going up because you've been working so long. You already hit the career salary cap. Some of us are, tired. You don't necessarily want to apply to move up in your agency because it's more work. You're getting home even later, and a lot of those positions are salary, which means you're working more hours. And on paper, you're making income, but let's talk about what you bring home. It's not really that much. So I get it. I was in that space. I was just like, what am I going to do? So if that's you watching this clip and you're like dreading going to work, sometimes you get in that parking lot at work and you're having to take deep breaths just to get yourself out of the car, getting your coffee, and to get inside that workplace. And then if you have a supervisor who is micromanaging, you have court reports, that are due and you have home visits to do. I come from a child welfare background, so when I'm talking to you, I'm coming with that lens. I'm not implying that all social workers do the type of work that I'm expressing to you, but child welfare, if you are from that area of practice, you can resonate on some of the things that I'm talking about. So the point is, you're going over this every single year, every month, every week. You're at the point where it's like, dock my pay. I need to be home to get my mind right. And then you're frustrated with yourself because you feel like, hey, I did all the right things, but where am I? You're the first in the family, maybe to go to college, even. And you're questioning yourself, like, where am I in all of this? You know it's holiday time, you're supposed to have a jingle in your bell, and you're depressed, or you're lonely, you're burnt out, you're questioning if you majored in the right field of work, even though you have a tug in your heart to help people, but you can't even help yourself. And when you can't help yourself, how can you pour from an empty cup, right? And so I speak to you who understand what I'm saying. And I want to let you know that I really have a heart to show folks like you that really resonate with what I've been through, that there are other opportunities for you. And I get the fact that you're comfortable. You know your agency in and out. You know who's the key players in there. You don't have time to learn new personalities on a new job. You're probably at your top salary where you are, so leaving is not an option because you'll likely get less pay. You just know the culture of your agency. And sometimes when we know our surroundings, it's comfortable, it feels good, but not good. It's kind of one of those oxymorons. You're unhappy, but yet you're scared to move forward because you don't know what the other side entails. Maybe it's accountability. And in your current agency, the accountability is, and you're at that age in your life, it's, I don't need all that extra, right? And so I want you to understand that you guys that are service-based professionals, social work in particular, we know how to engage folks. We get folks to speak to us about just about anything, even the most resistant client. If you're good at what you do, and which I know you are, we have the ability to get people to talk about some of the things that the average person won't. You can be at Starbucks, you can be at the airport, you can be at a school, you can be at the laundromat, you can be, you get it? You can be at a concert on your weekend trying to kick it for the weekend, and you can be in Uber because Uber have the best conversations, by the way. But the point is, you gravitate, you draw people to you, and so people generally open up to you at some of the disclosed locations that I just described. So here you are off work, but you're really not off work because people sense a spirit about you, an aura about you that lends themselves to share their whole life story. So if that's you, most social workers can resonate with that. You're like, oh my goodness, how is this person all up in my lane at Costco sharing with me something that's going on? It's because you're a carrier and people know, trust you, and like you just by the mere fact that you stepping in the room or stepping in the store, or your aura about yourself, just let them know that you're an okay person to talk to. So imagine using that gift and ability, guys. You're doing it already. Like, I'm in Costco with my husband. He's looking and rolling his eyes. Like, can we just get out the store without you running into somebody that's pouring their life out? Or you're at the family reunion and you're supposed to be, doing your two-step and having a good time. And that aunt or that uncle or cousin got you hemmed up in the corner talking about their divorce, or talking about stuff going on with the kids, or talking about, don't let them find out you're a social worker if you haven't seen them in years. Oh, wait, my friend kid got taken, and here we go with all of that. And so, of course, you should be redirecting that because you don't want to have a day off, but really don't have a day off. But my point is, you have a natural gift, and most of us in social work, we have a gift that we minimize, guys. We think that our careers is limited to us clocking in to systems that dictate to us how many people we need to see a month, how many reports that are due. We think that, if we, because a lot of us don't even step into policy, right? So we are recipients of what the policymakers dictate for us because, again, we don't want to step outside of our comfort zone to step in the realm of macro practice, which we need a lot of you guys out there doing that because you do it anyway. But again, what you're not familiar with, sometimes you don't want to be uncomfortable, so you end up being a recipient of just about anything. So these policies get passed down to you, and you feel like this is not real social work. This is more 80% paperwork, 10% commuting, 10% of what being with the client. And most of us as heart center, we break those rules all the time because we know it takes time to build rapport with our I was going to say patients, see how we work in different areas. So we can have patients, clients, recipients, whatever. But the point is, um, this is why many of us social workers are burnt out and stressed because you're at a point in your life where you did just about everything in terms of your practice and your work. And so now you're like, what am I going to do now? This is no longer fulfilling for me. It's more and more paperwork and less what I went to school for. And I just don't know what to do. And so, can I tell you, those gifts and abilities that you have done for many, many years, they can be monetized. You know, you are actually a secret life coach out there guiding people from their island of pain to their island of purpose. Whether it's that relative I told you that had you hemmed up, whether it's that random person in Costco, or whether it's that random person at the supermarket, whether it's the neighbor that's telling her family that you a social worker and you can just help people solve problems. And keep in mind, we all have our own problems too, right? But the unique thing about, I'm speaking to you as if you don't know, and I know I'm speaking to the choir, like preaching to the choir, but I think it's important that social workers, we pour into each other. So if that's all right with you, I'm pouring into you to remind you of your special gift that you offer the world and not have you be comfortable with limiting your gifts and abilities just to a cubicle, just to a chaotic office space, just to, you know, the sloppy seconds of the government budgets that they give us and tell us to make magic out of it. So what I'm saying is, if you don't wake up and recognize your gifts that you offer the world, then you miss out on a whole nother revenue stream that you are sitting on that the world needs. So think about on the proactive side of what you do. So whatever agency you're working for example, right now, and you're like, oh my goodness, we can be much more impactful if these people didn't come into our system, for example, in child welfare. There's not too many proactive services out there that go out and educate, mobilize, empower people. But yet, when they come into the system, we are governed by the federal government and guidelines that we have to adhere to. So we really can't do the real work like we want to because now we're up under this scope of work that we have to practice under. So imagine you using your abilities on the proactive side of things, doing some educational workshops and doing the different things to keep people preventatively from falling through the cracks, holding people accountable. And frankly, on the community side of things, you get to have way more tougher conversations, I think, because now you're not scrutinized by the agency that says, oh, you can't say this and you can't say that, but still working in your work ethic and your the pillars of social work that we adhere to, you can be more impactful in many, many different ways. So I am here to let you know the reason why you're feeling so uncomfortable, the reason why you are at your lunch breaks really talking crap about the office drama, the reason why you're calling in more and more instead of going to work more. And you're at the point, if your bills are late, they're just late because you need a peace of mind. So if that means you calling in sick because you're sick and tired of the job, which is causing you to be physically sick, which is causing you to make, you know, payment arrangements with your Sally Mae and your nail nets and all your student loans, and everybody else is lined up for their share, that is a sign that you are maxed out in your call in that setting that you're in right now. And so this is why, if you don't have someone like me that is really passionate about pulling out the skills that you have that you're already doing and showing you how to monetize that, how to make money off of doing what you naturally do, then it's easy for you to get sucked down that pipeline of thinking, is this it? Is this it? My kids and my grandkids, they see me struggling paycheck to paycheck, looking as though I'm a welfare recipient, but I'm over here with my doctorate, my master's, and my bachelor's degree. And you're not living over your means. We're talking about your basic modest living is getting stretched thinner and thinner. And what are you going to do with this? Sit there and keep sucking your thumb about it? Or are you going to rise up? Because some people I talked to, they felt like when they was on welfare before they became social workers, for some of them, if that's their testimony, they felt like they had free Medi-Cal, they had free benefits, they had free um, um, food stamps. They had an endless list of, eye doctor appointment providers and dental providers that they can go to without having to share costs, without having a co-payment. And so here you are as a professional with money on the paper, but when you bring that check home, it's not enough. And so it's very sad to see that. And it's sad to see that we as social workers, we are in the business of empowering folks, but we don't even empower ourselves. The very same thing that you practice when you're talking to your clients about being resilient, bouncing back from life setbacks. Are you employing those same principles to yourself? So you can't expect, or you shouldn't have an expectation that what you're injecting into your clients and expecting them to perceive that as something um, easy, or oh, you can do this, when you can't, you're not willing to do it for yourself. Like I have behind me, I have, I keep myself surrounded with positive affirmation and quotes, whether I'm at the office or, you know, I don't know, I'm just a collector of journals and affirmations and things like that. So let's talk about some of this stuff. You tell your clients, believe in yourself, right? Believe in yourself, you tell the mom. Believe in yourself. You're a single mom or a single dad, but believe in yourself. Things is going to be greater. We're going to give you some resources and you're going to be great. But I'm going to ask the social worker that's viewing this, or if you're a heart-centered professional, teacher, anything that's service-driven, public servant, for example, apply this question to yourself. Do you believe in yourself? Okay, it says shine on. You telling the client, the patient, or whomever you're serving, shine on. It's dark today, but you can shine through this. You're resilient. You got this. But ask yourself, are you shining in your agency? Are you shining? Or are you spending all your breaks and your lunch breaks and, all these different pockets of time that you're supposed to be doing your self-care? Are you spending that time talking about how ugly the agency is, how the policies make no sense? They don't make sense to you because you probably have a different spin on things, but you're not even willing to apply to be at the table to make some decisions. Why? Because you're comfortable. And quite frankly, some of you are scared to move forward because you want to please your colleagues around you. If you apply, then they won't like you. Doesn't that sound like we're in elementary or high school? Why don't you do what it is that you're good at and understand no matter what way you swing it in life, people will talk. And that's just a part of being successful. It's a part of being individualized in how you move through the world. You're not here to please people. I work with people and they're like, I want to apply, but like my coworkers were saying, my colleagues were saying, why would you even apply and you're stuck in meetings all day and you don't need to do that. Okay, that's their story. That's their experience. And so, is that not something our clients tell us? They're scared to do something different because they're afraid of doing things different from what their family generational pathologies are, right? So they are having to move out of their comfort zone to say reunify with their families or, kick the drug habit. And so as professionals, we can have a drug habit of the disease to please or whatever. We can have a habit of trying to please everybody and not even pleasing ourselves. So when you talk about do what you love, I know I was a job specialist for a while, and in my role there, we had to kind of try to pull out the gifts that a person had and get them to apply for things in areas that they love. Now, when you're unemployed, sometimes you have to do things that you don't love until you can get to the place of doing something that you love. But this doesn't limit itself only to, what you love in the workplace. So, for example, if you're in child welfare, the hospital, prisons, in a private agency, adoption work, you're in the government offices as far as the White House and doing policy, whatever it is that you're doing in the universities and you're working, and maybe you are just burnt out. You've been doing it over 10 years, over 5 years, over 20 years. You just feel like you can't do it anymore, right? So part of the thing that you can do so that you're not so burnt out is do something on the weekend in your private space that you love. So I started a support group for social workers, for example, that we kind of got people away from the offices for breakfast every 3 months, just to tap into something that they enjoy doing, that brought them joy, that brought them passion back, brought their passion back, brought them a sense of belonging. Some people start back crocheting, they hadn't done in years, they started baking again. So it kind of offsets some of the stressors you have in the workplace to do something that you totally love. Sometimes people say, well, I love being with my family. But if you're a heart centered person, that's all we do is give, give, give. I usually tell people dig a little bit deeper, not about what I love to do for others, but this is about what you love to do for yourself. So things that bring you joy outside of doing something for other people. If you don't have this component in your life, the stress and burnout is a little bit more difficult in your workspace, especially when you're totally over your work. You're ready to leave, but you don't have a plan to leave. You're tired of having countless meetings about how to make the workspace better. It is what it is, and you just feel trapped. So it's going to be very important to tap into, what it is that bring you joy outside of that work setting, and then doing the best that you can with what you have there. And then everything have beauty. I can go on and on, but this is the point. I keep words around me that ignite me, and hopefully you're doing the same. But getting back to what I wanted to share with you guys who are out there in your career space and you're just not sure what you're going to do with it next year. Have a really, really intimate time out, unplugged space with yourself this season. And what I would encourage you to do is do something that I call brain dumping. Something some of you guys have probably never done or you haven't done in a while. You've been working, 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 rushing to daycare, picking up your little ones at night, and rushing home to try to get a meal together. Some of us haven't cooked in a while. You're throwing processed foods in the microwave and it's dinner. If you have older kids, you're trying to manage them. You can't really manage people, but that's what we be trying to do, excuse me, which lends itself to burnout because you're now, parenting adult kids, whether they live at home or not. They have a different set of needs now, and you're over here trying to do what you have to do at the office, and then you're trying to manage other people's lives, which you can't do that. So if you haven't figured that out, that's why you're tired. You can't manage people. You can't even um, manage time. Time is what it is, 24 hours in a day. Can you really manage? It's 9 o'clock. Can you really manage 9 o'clock? No, you can't, because 10 o'clock gonna come whether you want it or not. 9:15, 9:30 gonna come whether or not you like it or not. You can manage your energy and what you put out and how you receive back. So these are the different milestones that you're going through in your life. So I'm going to invite you this season to brain dump. And what that is simply is getting the things in the creative space that you have up here in your mind, the web browsers of your brain, is so unique. And so if you're not spending time dumping those ideas out of your head, the web browsers is up, you have them up all over the place. And so it's impacting your sleep. You are sitting up here in your agencies like, wow, this could work a little bit more effective if we did this. If we did that, this would, have a higher level of engagement. If we do this, we would have more participation if we did that. So you have all this creativeness going on up here, and you've talked yourself out of you using that and making a space where you can go ahead and present that to your executive team. Or if you're an executive team member that's watching this, making sure that you embrace new information, making sure you embrace new creativity from that new employee that has some killer ideas. But if you're intimidated by that creativity, then you need to do some internal work, because then now you're working harder in the old fashioned model that's not really relevant for this right now type of practice that we're doing. Then you're not building a team. And you have to embrace creativity and embrace what is new that's coming aboard if it makes sense to implement that and creating that space for people to flow in their creativity. Because what happens is people sit on their creativity when there's not a space to execute it. And so they just come to work, do business as usual, and go home. So for you, if you have not brain dumped, get those creative ideas out of your head. Write them down. Write them down. And then you want to go ahead and say, how can I serve the world with all this creativeness? How can I be a coach? You're already coaching folks. Maybe you can be, health and fitness coach and teaching people that stress in their stressful jobs how to manage all that through health and fitness. Maybe you are one that just, really, really good at helping people take care of themselves, like working out. I'm not a workout person, so I need a coach that a trainer that's gonna kick my butt and tell me, get your butt up and do this and that. Some people are self-disciplined in other areas, but your specialty is going to be different from mine. And so there's no hard, fast rule that you just have to work at that cubicle or in and out of cars and all of that. If you don't have something on the side nowadays, you guys, even if you want to call it a side hustle for right now, a side gig, I don't care if you're playing in a band on the weekend because you love music and that drives you and take care of all your self-care. Do something on the side. And that's my whole thing about taking you from social work to social entrepreneurship. There is so much entrepreneurial skills and abilities in our social workers that it just untapped. And the reason why it's untapped, why? Because you're so burnt out. You're running from job to job, office to office, court to court, hospital to hospital, uh, dealing with some of the most atrocious behaviors, dealing with some of the most unhumane living conditions, dealing with some of the most uh, undescribable, inhumane human sufferings that only you can understand. And we don't fully understand it, but you understand the call in your life because when you go out to dinner with someone, a friend, and they don't understand why you stay in this work, because you understand it's a call in your life to serve. And when you serve, it doesn't mean you have to be serving in the space of depletion, serving in the place of your own stress and countertransference that comes along with it. It doesn't mean you have to serve from a spirit of bankruptcy, right? And so if you go along with the get along gang, everybody around the office, all they do is this cycle of complaining, a cycle of having a meeting after the meeting when they implemented something new. And you're the one in the meeting saying, you know what, I'm not going to trip off of this because this is not my destiny. This is just a part of what I'm doing now. But my call on my life is much far greater than this. And I know that from this, I'm going to build something great that I can be proud of, a legacy that I can be proud of, in doing the work that I'm called to do. And so if you're not having those people around you or entertaining some of those great ideas you have up in here that you have not yet moved forward in, it's time to do that. And it's no accident that you're watching this video because I was in that place a couple of years ago and I had to sit back and I was forced to because I had gotten sick and I started looking at my retirement numbers. I started looking at my student loans. I started looking at, things I need to do for my family. And the numbers don't lie, guys. Some of you guys are so busy, you don't even know what your retirement package is going to look like. When's the last time you went to your retirement office and had an appointment and calculated your age and your years of service and really got some hard numbers about what that's going to look like if you became disabled today? Not tomorrow, not 5 or 10 years down the road, but ask yourself, call your HR department and just meet yourself about what those numbers look like. That's what I really want you to do. Because before we can get you from social worker, doesn't mean social working for everybody else. Start social working on yourself. The social injustice of working and slaving to a time clock that don't have your best interests at heart, and all you're going to do is get a coffee mug at the end of the day, maybe a certificate that you can do yourself on the publisher. Maybe the director may sign it if he or she is not on some elaborate training or vacation. Is that all you did all this schooling for? Really? We're living at a time you can order your own coffee mug. You can do your own certificate. They give years of service certificates as if you need a reminder. I mean, granted, they're trying, I understand that. But really figure out in the scope of everything you're doing, what is it that you want? What is it that you tell yourself yet that you deserve? And go after that thing. Go after that thing. And so I'm going to continue to do clips just for social workers for a while because my heart is tugging at you guys. I'm very concerned because, you know, we serve everyone else, but who serves the social worker? Who served the heart center professional? Who served you in a way to think that get you to think more critically about your worth and your value? Because all of our work, like I gave the little examples, is around, you know, sense of self and value and all of these different things we pour into our clients. But you need to be your own client first. Before you can sell me some weight loss products, I have to know that it worked on you. You can't be up here 4, 5, 600 pounds telling me about some weight loss product. It's just not going to work. But see, in our work, we don't see what's going on the inner courts. So that example of weight loss, that's external, right? We can see if I'm overweight, me trying to push some weight loss products, or if I do hair, my hair is a hot mess, or if I do nail, you know, you get the point. So those things are external. But when it comes to our work, there's a lot of internal work that you don't see. You probably won't see that I'm a person that's being treated for depression or anxiety, and then I'm serving someone with depression and anxiety. So if I'm living in lack, somebody see me at my desk or my cubicle and I have a business card, you know, I have degrees with letters with my name. Your family is like so proud of you, right? But they don't see in the darkest space when you're by yourself that you're struggling and you're not so happy with where you are in your career. You're not so happy where you are in your relationship with yourself and others, right? You don't go to the potlucks because you're really lightweight depressed and don't want nobody to know. But you're the funny one in the office and people think you're just so funny. Like with oh, I love that guy. Oh, what is his name? Williams? Mark, is it Mark Williams? I don't know, the funny guy, Mark and Mindy guy that killed himself. I forget his name. I had a brain fart and I don't know how to edit videos, so we gonna flow with it. But the guy from Mark and Mindy, something Williams, Robin Williams. I think it's Robin Williams. Don't quote me. But the point is, he's a funny guy, he's a comedian, and he just shook the world because he committed suicide. And so, you know, if you're not careful, you can commit spiritual suicide when you don't walk in your purpose. When you don't walk in your purpose and the gifts that you have far bigger than where you are in life right now, and you limit your ability to serve in this heart-centered work to an agency, an institution, or a corporation that's undervaluing your gifts, they don't embrace your creativity, you're not compensated in measure of your skills, and you're sitting there with no type of exit strategy, no type of do-over about what can I build on the side to compensate, or what can I build on the side, not only to compensate, but to serve in a way that you know would be more effective in your. Dump out all that magic that you have in your head, right? And then figure out if you need support. We're pretty dusty, right? We're pretty dusty because we're doing business as usual. So in this season of the jingle mingle and the jingle bell and the holiday festivities, give yourself the gift of life. Give yourself a gift of a do-over, because you can't give to your clients and the people you're serving if you don't first serve yourself. So come back here, give comments on what that exercise on brain dumping did for you. What did that really do for you? What are some of the skills and the gifts and the abilities that lit your heart up? What are some of the takeaways that you're going to have from this clip as it applies to your moving forward and your purpose and your call? Doesn't mean you have to give up serving, but you can be more effective. You can be more effective. And then when things start changing in your office space, you won't personalize it, because why? You have a bigger vision for your life. And this is the same thing you're telling your clients. Have a bigger vision for your life. Move forward. You can be resilient. This is a temporary setback. You can move forward, right? We're going to advocate for social justice and positive well-being and all these beautiful things in our tool belt, but apply them to yourself, Mr. and Mrs. Social Worker. I serve women who are impacted by stress, compassion, fatigue, and burnout in the domains of their finances, their spirituality, their relationship, and their business and careers. So it's a holistic approach. It's to first look at yourself, date with yourself, explore the biggest dreams that you never dreamed of or have not visited since college. It's time out for living subpar, helping everybody else, and you don't have enough money to pay your student loan. For those of you, many of us who have student loans, it's time out for that. All right, so I'm your online bestie. Have an amazing, amazing day. But do you, boo, do you to the fullest. And how you do you is sit down with pen to the paper. Some of you guys can't even afford to be on the computer with distractions. Take a good old-fashioned ink pen to the paper and amaze yourself about all that's wrapped up in you. And then get with me on my website, schedule a call, complimentary call, so we can start moving you forward so you can serve the world at a capacity that needs to be served. We have a sense of urgency for social workers to step way beyond and broader than their cubicle and office space to get out here in this life space, these internet streets, to mobilize the people with all that greatness that you have stored down inside of you. All right. So I'll see you guys at the very top of your thought process. Until then, understand that there's an online bestie out here serving social workers and heart-centered career professional women that have the winner in you in mind. But you first have to know that there's something bigger and better in store for you if you just believe. Just believe a fraction of what you tell your clients, and you'll be on your way to an amazing new year. Until then, have a happy, happy holiday, and do not forget to date with yourself and pull out the destiny that awaits you. The world needs you far greater than that office space. Quit hiding behind the office door and cubicle and get out with your greatness and monetize every experience that you had in your life, whether good or bad. That testimony, that experience, that uniqueness, that spirit within you that draws others into their healing is waiting on you. While you're waiting on that promotion, right? The world is waiting on that gift for you to serve them up real good. And for that and your obedience and your ability to look beyond your comfort zone, baby, that's the greatest promotion. And you can be balling on a budget. You can be sitting 6, 7 figures easily. And most rewardingly, you can see the fruits of your labor by pouring into folks that's waiting on you. All right, I'll see you guys. www.talk2tasha.com. If you need any more support, I'm here for you. I'll see you soon. And she tries to log off.